Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Our session today is being recorded and will be made available at a later date. We'll be sure to follow up in an email with a link to that video. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am beyond excited to come before you this morning with our fourth cohort of the HSI Fellows to really showcase their time, their talents, their leadership, and their love for HSI initiatives at the University of Arizona. We truly have a remarkable group of HSI Fellow cohort members this morning. We gather today as guests on the land and territories of Indigenous peoples, with Tucson being home to the O'odham and the Yaqui. This morning and every day, we center our time together in a way that honors both people and place. My name is Marla Franco, and I serve as the inaugural Assistant Vice Provost for Hispanic Serving Institution initiatives at the University of Arizona. We are joined today by many guests here at the University of Arizona, including faculty, staff, administrators, including HSI Fellows from all four cohorts, as well as those who are about to start their journey on the fifth cohort in just a few weeks. We also have several guests from other HSIs joining us this morning, including those from emerging HSIs who are very much interested in scouring the landscape of HSI efforts across the nation. We're also joined this morning by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and organizations such as Excellencia in Education and the Alliance of Hispanic Serving Institution Educators. We are pleased and thrilled to have you all join us. Thank you for being here. This program would actually not be even possible without the permanent support from the Office of the Provost. Our collaborative partnerships as well with Faculty Affairs and Human Resources, as well as several of you who have served as session facilitators and guest panelists, as well as Monique Beltran's help for her administrative support and special touches that make this program what it is. Thank you all for your involvement, your support, your advocacy, and really coming together to help this program be what it is today. Now, before we get started with our fellows, I am beyond thrilled to welcome Diane Brennan, Assistant Vice President for Human Resources, who will provide us with some brief welcome remarks on behalf of the university. She has been a steady supporter of HSI initiatives, and she was actually at the table from day one as we conceived the HSI Fellows program. Thank you for being here, Diane. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Marla. Well, I share the excitement that Marla started off with, and am really happy to be here with all of you and welcome you to this HSI Impact presentation. To see this community, this family grow at the university and beyond is really wonderful. As Marla said, I have had the joy of being a partner with the HSI Fellows program since its inception. I know it wasn't all a joy at times as we were working through things, but it's amazing to see what's happened. And Marla's an inspiration as she really put this all together. So I'm really grateful to have been part of that and to continue to support the program. Each Fellows cohort brings passion, exploration, commitment, and excellence and energy that to this program that really has been significant in the contributions and impact to the university. As I've witnessed this, so this is my fifth year, the beginning of my sixth year at the university. And so as part of Human Resources, it's been really wonderful to see the faculty and staff participating in this program, coming from various backgrounds, from various colleges and departments, and the projects that have come out and really influenced communications, education programs, programs for faculty and staff, relationships. And, as I look at the practices that I'm often part of in human resources, hiring, pay, studies, everything that we do now, we do more with the lens of what has been created here. And we're committed to being more deliberate in our processes and practices as we continue to evolve this institution. As the number of fellows grows, so does the reach across the institution to really cultivate faculty and staff as equity-focused leaders at the University of Arizona. I'm continuing to see opportunities to evolve, and I think you all are as well. As I look across this audience and I see our past cohorts and our current cohort and look forward to our incoming cohort, you're everywhere, and we need that. I am happy to be here and available. If you see things or as you see opportunities, please raise them. We might not be able to make it happen initially, but there's always a way. So as Marla knows, we find our way through things, and I think partnering together is our key forward. So congratulations to our 2021-22 fellows. I'm looking forward to hearing your presentations, and thank you to all of our fellows from the past several years. I'm in awe of your work, your commitment, that has really furthered our understanding, our outreach, and our impact as an HSI, and is really contributing to our becoming a more inclusive place to learn and work. Thank you. Marla?
Thank you so much, Diane, for those welcoming remarks. You really have been anchored in a way that has provided us with the opportunity, I think, for this program to really flourish here at the University of Arizona. It is certainly nestled and situated in a place that makes it an available leadership development opportunity for so many faculty and staff across the institution. So thank you. So now we are actually going to introduce to you, actually, hold on one second. All right, so we're going to introduce to you the fourth cohort of HSI Fellows. We're actually going to start at the top and go from left to right with self-introductions. And I also just want to quickly acknowledge that one incredible HSI Fellow, Octavio Fuentes, transitioned from the university and on to other employment during this fellowship year. We are so excited and proud of him, to be honest, because he is thriving in his new endeavors, and we do wish him well and the very best. So now let's start with Carla to kick us off, and then each fellow will subsequently take the lead with their self-introduction.
All right. Good morning. Buenos dias, everybody. My name is Carla Cruz Silva. My pronouns are she, her, and ella, and I serve as the Associate Director of Hispanic Serving Institution Initiatives. I've worked at the University of Arizona for 7 years, and I'm a recent alumni as I recently graduated with my PhD in higher education this past summer.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jocelyn Fisher. I'm the Faculty Affairs Coordinator for the College of Applied Science and Technology. I've been with the university since December of 2019, and I've greatly enjoyed being a part of this awesome experience with HSI.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michelle Menninger. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management and Student Success for Distance Education, which is part of a larger unit of online distance and continuing education, or what we refer to as Odyssey. And I have been at the University of Arizona going on 14 years now.
Good morning. My name is Erin Paradise, and I use she, her pronouns. And I am going into my 4th year as a lecturer of business communication at the Eller College of Management. And I'm also part of the massive cohort this semester that is teaching UNIV 101. Thank you all for being here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marcelo Rodriguez. I've been at the University of Arizona for 1.5 years, and now I have 4 different titles. I'm the Foreign and International Law Librarian at the College of Law. I also teach. Law librarians teach legal research and foreign legal research. I'm an affiliated faculty with the Center for Latin American Studies. And this week, I started a PhD at the School of Government and Public Policy. Thrilled to be
Wow.
here.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Anne Shivers McNair, she, her pronouns. I'm an associate professor in the Department of English, where I direct the professional and technical writing program. And this is my 6th year at U of A. And I'm very excited to be in this cohort and here with you all today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriela Valdez, she, her, hers, ella pronouns, and I'm the Director of Global Education for the Sacramento College of Public Health. And I'm also an Assistant Professor of Practice for the Health Promotion Sciences Department.
Thank you all. We look forward to hearing more from you in a little bit. So I would like to give just a brief overview of the HSI Fellows program, how it came to be, what it's designed to accomplish, as well as the notoriety it's gained in just 4 short years. I've worked in higher education for 22 years now, with the 9 of those being at the University of Arizona. When I came to work here in 2013, it was a much bigger decision than just taking on a new job. It meant uprooting myself and my immediate family and leaving what I knew to come to a different state to start a new journey. Although it was a time of promise and opportunity, I yearned for a connection to people and place within my workplace. I yearned to feel at home and as though I belonged. This took a little longer than I had hoped, but it did eventually come. Fast forward actually to 2018, and it was at the tail end of participating in the university's Academic Leadership Institute. I had been selected, mentored, trained, challenged, and invested in. And I am forever grateful for that experience. But that experience ended for me. And really, I felt ready to do more and give more to the university community and the community at large. These experiences left me feeling as though I couldn't possibly be the only one who felt this way. At around the same time, there was an opportunity during the summer of 2018 to make a pitch to the interim provost at the time. It was a plan for bringing the HSI designation to life in a thoughtful and intentional way aimed at building institutional capacity as an HSI by investing in our faculty and staff, who could then advance HSI efforts from all facets of our university, essentially activating stewards and change agents throughout our entire campus. So how do we do this? Each year, we have anywhere from 8 to 10 fellows, 10 sessions composing of 1 cohort. This just isn't any university-sponsored professional development program. In this program, you enter as fellows, but you leave as family. The start of the program is a kickoff dinner. And there's probably not a more meaningful way to welcome and affirm others than to welcome them into your own home. That first evening, we gather around the heart of my home, which is the dinner table. Sometimes the dinner table's inside. During the pandemic, it's been outside. But we nestle around the dinner table, just like I would do with my own family for Sunday dinners. On that night, we eat, we laugh, we cry, we share stories, we become inspired by each other, and we share our hopes for this work. That night sets the tone for everything else that follows. The other sessions bring an array of equity-focused knowledge holders, both internal and external, to the University of Arizona, who then share their wisdom, experience, and strategy with us, including university leaders, Dr. Gina Garcia, who is the leading scholar of AI, spends time with us, student advocates, elders, and much more. These are just a few examples of those who are brought in to help guide our learning and engagement in the program. Coupled with these sessions, the fellows assembled into 4 smaller groups, and they worked to tackle a gap or challenge aimed at creating blueprints for strengthening our capacity as a Hispanic serving institution. These projects serve as building blocks for cultivating and sustaining cross-campus leadership of HSI-related work in a way that far beyond exceeds my ability to do it by myself. In fact, I would actually like to highlight a few fellows from prior cohorts to show you that there has been a really powerful ripple effect. What I only dreamed would happen as a result of this program is taking shape here at the University of Arizona. There are so many examples beyond these here that I'm going to highlight this morning, and you'll actually be able to hear from one of our 2019-2020 fellows, Dr. Sarah Kite, later this morning. So on the top left, you will see Dr. Eileen Wong, an assistant clinical professor and research audiologist in the College of Science, who was actually part of our first cohort. She leveraged experiences in the HSI Fellows program to effectuate change and greater understanding within the Department of Speech, Language, and Hearing Sciences. She observed an issue. That is, in the US, only 8% of speech and language hearing professionals are racially or ethnically diverse. And in the state of Arizona alone, the gap between Spanish-speaking patients and Spanish-speaking audiologists and pathologists is significant and wide. So what does this mean for an academic program that is preparing the state and the nation's next speech, language, and hearing science professionals? Supported by a small grant in our STEM and HSI working group, she and others in her department raised awareness, shifted perspectives, and built institutional capacity to guide STEM faculty to achieve a more holistic and equitable approach that countered and rivaled high-stakes review processes when looking at graduate admissions. In 2020, this department discontinued the use of GRE requirements for their master's and Doctor of Audiology programs, with a commitment to reviewing the policy for future admission cycles. She and others have a manuscript published in the past year or so that actually documented the process of navigating such equity-focused change. The article was published in the field's premier journal, the American Journal of Speech Language Pathology. Ashley Linares Gafford on our right was part of our second HSI Fellows cohort. She is an associate professor of practice in nutritional sciences. She has partnered with faculty from our distance campus in Yuma to respond to gaps and opportunities that actually resulted in an awarded grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture to increase the number of students completing nutritional science degrees and earning dietetics credentials in Yuma. By introducing a culturally responsive development of farm-to-table, food as medicine, experiential learning activities that will address regional food safety, food security, food production, and the centering of cultural cooking traditions. I could really go on and on about the continued impact of HSI Fellows that far exceeds their first initial year in the experience. They are now sprinkled across our university, the local community, and across their professional fields, advancing efforts for more equitable and inclusive spaces. So now I would like to shift gears and turn the spotlight over to our current cohort of HSI Fellows and their project-based capacity building efforts. So on that note, I would like to introduce and invite up to present Carla Cruz Silva, Jocelyn Fisher, Michelle Menninger, and Aaron Paradise to present on their project focused on the Seal of Excellencia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Franco. So our project was to reapply for the Seal of Excellencia. So if you are not familiar with the Seal of Excellencia, it is a national certification granted by Excellencia in Education, and it is a rigorous process that requires institutions to critically examine their practices, their data, their strategies for leadership and investments to ensure and advance the success of Hispanic and Latinx students, so that we're going above and beyond just merely enrolling these students, but that we're truly supporting them and intentionally serving them. The University of Arizona was part of 9 inaugural, in the inaugural cohort in 2019 to earn this prestigious national certification. So this year, our team went through a months-long process of researching and engaging stakeholders across campus to apply for the seal. Now, Jocelyn is going to share more about what was involved in that process.
Thank you, Dr. Paradise. So some of those sections that you saw on the previous slide for the application process consisted of sections for enrollment. So what does enrollment for an HSI look like in order to be SEAL certified? Enrolling Hispanic and Latinx students obviously is needed before an institution can intentionally serve them. So this section just provided us with an opportunity to share our efforts and how we, the University of Arizona, enrolls our Hispanic and Latinx student population. One of those efforts is Project Outreach Familia, which broadens our capacity to increase the number of Hispanic and low-income students who enter higher education and those who also earn post-secondary degrees. Retention, one of the next sections, once enrolled, institutions who intentionally serve Hispanic and Latinx students, they must become invested in retaining them and providing them the support that they need to persist in their educational programs, whatever they may be. So this section provided us with an opportunity for us to talk about our initiatives, such initiatives like the Student Success and Retention Innovation, or SSRI, which was established in 2017 and works to support the success of students through several departments and strategic relationships. SSRI convenes and facilitates the retention working group meetings, and they lead strategies and programs that put students' needs first and offer direct support to those students, which promotes a culture of student success, thereby retaining them in the university. And completion, this particular section consisted of data including undergraduate first major awards and degrees earned by Hispanic and Latinx students at the bachelor, associate, and certificate levels. And so, as to save on time, Carla is going to now talk about the university's goals to 2025 and what they mean for the future of our university as a leading premier HSI.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about some of the initiatives and what our goals as an institution were, which is what Education in Excelencia asked of us. So first, a little bit around workforce and career readiness. So in 2020, HSI initiatives, student engagement and career development, and the Guerrero Student Center piloted a new peer mentoring program to intentionally support Latinx students' career readiness. This was a 12-week pilot, and during this pilot, they really centered career readiness and providing support that was designed from a culturally responsive lens. We have a scaled launch for this academic year, and this is just one of the ways in which we are working with students to get that career readiness or the workforce preparedness. The second one that we talked about was the partnerships that the university has with industry partners such as Amazon, Google, and Victoria's Secrets. And so getting ready to scale these career readiness opportunities for Latinx and Hispanic students. And part of that was also us as a university participating in Excelencia's post-completion success initiative. Another key piece that we needed to inform our that we informed within our application was the faculty and curriculum development. So the Strategic Priorities Faculty Initiative, also known as SPIFFY, provides temporary financial support to academic departments, enabling them to hire additional faculty who will ultimately enhance our university's distinctive strengths in advancing inclusive excellence via equal opportunity, diversity, and inclusion, which ultimately resulted in many Latinx hiring. And then lastly, for another example, was our Latinx Faculty and Staff Association. So in 2021, the Latinx Faculty and Staff Association, also known as LFSA, was launched by our AVP of HSI Initiatives and VP for University Initiatives. The LFSA offers opportunities to connect for networking, mentoring, and community building. The association also helps to strengthen that sense of connection and belonging amongst the Latinx employees and support a thriving Latinx workforce. So these are just a few of the many amazing things happening on campus. And I will be passing it on to Michelle to finish it up with our last example.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz Silva. So one of the many ways the University of Arizona has prioritized its commitment to being a Hispanic Serving Institution is through its investment funds, of which we've highlighted 4 to share with you today. The first 2 directly support our students in the form of financial aid. So the Pell Pledge Grant is for first-year Arizona residents who are Pell eligible, and this grant helps to pay a student's remaining tuition that's not covered by the Pell Grant and other gift aid. The other is Last Mile Award, which is aid for students who are in need of one more semester of classes to graduate but exhibit financial need or challenges. Both of these grants have become a vital institutional strategy for supporting Latinx students in their enrollment, retention, and degree completion. The Provost Investments Fund, or PIF, is designed to ensure that the provost can respond to requests that align with the institution's strategic goals. And for the 2021-22 academic year, HSI Initiatives partnered with PIF to award nearly $1.4 million of the HSI relief funds that directly went to support Black, Indigenous students of color through different programs. Title III Part F is a $5 million grant across a 5-year period from the Department of Education that aims to support Hispanic and low-income students in STEM majors. The grant aims to improve access to higher education for students from Latinx backgrounds or low-income households through earlier access to hands-on research and learning communities. In the months to come, we hope to share updates of our progress towards earning the Seal of Excellencia again, and in the meantime, we look forward to sharing out this process and what we've learned with the greater community. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you to our team who worked on this. We are super excited in that there will be a public announcement as to whether we are recertified with the seal. And so please tune in for more details on September 30th during that public announcement. This project really provided a team of individuals at the University of Arizona to really lead and steward this process. And so thank you all for being an extension of HSI Initiatives and the University of Arizona to engage deeply in this self-study process. So next we have a civics education project, which will be presented by Marcelo Rodriguez. Marcelo?
Thank you, Marla.
Yes.
Everyone, you see my name alone there, but I have to say, to start with, I am not the only person working on this, not only in terms of practical steps that were taken, but just the inspiration behind this. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank Marla Franco, the entire HSI team, and all my fantastic fellows that were part of the fellowship, because they inspired me to come up with this idea, to make it happen. And even more importantly, when I started back at the University of Arizona back in March 2021, applying to the HSI Fellowship was actually one of the first things that I wanted to do. And one of the things that our law library director, Teresa Miguel-Stern, mentioned to me, because she knew how passionate I was about this kind of initiatives and also reaching out to the community, which is really important to me at a personal and professional levels. Let's go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So this is kind of the model of sort of the different parts of the project, and actually the different sort of groups within the project. The idea is to bring the communities, specifically Latinx and Native American communities represented by high school students, the University of Arizona. I work at the law school, and this has more of a government legal component to it. So it's to bring that sort of part of the University of Arizona and the federal legal system. I mentioned the federal legal system because in my experience, there's several similar programs that happen at the state level, state courthouses working with communities. But in my experience, and I'm happy to share that also in terms of scholarship, I'm happy to share that whoever is interested, the federal governments, but federal judiciary is really interested to supporting a lot of these programs and even creating them where there's no program whatsoever. Chief Justice Roberts actually included civic education in his 2019 speech to the entire judiciary, and other legal scholars and judges working in the federal systems are really behind this idea and how important it is. I think the University of Arizona and the College of Law is uniquely positioned to be a part of such a program because we can actually show the students specific path that they can take to be part of the legal system eventually, right? And what do I mean by that? We have a fantastic BA in law program at the undergraduate level, and that separates us from really almost every single university in the country. The students have that specific pipeline that they can take to initiate their steps into a legal education, and then eventually, obviously, come to the College of Law and study with us. But before we even get that, the idea is really to bring high school students from Latinx and Native American communities, bring them to the College of Law, and that they can learn about the ins and outs of the federal judicial system, to actually give them sort of an idea of how it works at the rule of law kind of level. How can they be a part of it as well, right? How they can bring their voices, their issues, their worries, and their ideas, and how they can actually use the tools that the federal legal system has, as well as legal research in general, to be a part of that process. And they can learn that. The idea is that they can learn that in about one day, and it's a packed day with different groups of people, and that they feel inspired, that they can actually take advantage of the opportunities here at the University of Arizona to learn to really be part of that system and to bring sort of their ideas and their voices. Next slide, please. So we have already, well, I have already sort of started reaching out to some of the different groups that can make this happen. This is the kind of project that needs to sit on top of relationships, right? This is not the kind of project that I can make happen from one day to another. It has to sit in terms of relationships within the University of Arizona, relationships that with the federal legal system, and also relationships with the community, right? That they feel safe and that they want to be a part of it. So this past summer, the College of Law organized something that we have already had for a few years, something called the Summer Law Camp. So this is a 2-day program, free for students, and we had students from Tucson as well as other parts of southern Arizona, and they learned about the legal system. It's primarily the state legal system, right? And again, because that's actually what happens in other states as well. The great thing is that there's already that machine there. There's some groups within the College of Law that are already doing something similar. I want to tap into that and then bring the federal legal system to be a part of this program. There's a few things, really actually interesting things happening in the federal legal system that pertain to Arizona. Arizona is part of what we call the 9th Circuit. And back in last December, we have now the very first Latina chief judge of the 9th Circuit, Mary Murguia. And she's actually sitting in Phoenix, which is actually, it's easier for us to invite her to come and to be a part of this. She's really interested in civic education program, as well as other fellow judges within the 9th Circuit. One of the reasons I added here the 2nd Circuit, because that was my previous job before moving to the University of Arizona. I was a research librarian at the 2nd Circuit in New York, and we had a similar program there. We had this dynamics where we were inviting high school students from underrepresented communities, bringing them to the courthouse and showing them sort of the federal system that they could meet with judges. I think that we can create something actually even more powerful here at the University of Arizona, again, because we have that university component and we can show students clear path, clear pipelines that they can be a part of in order to bring their voices to the federal legal system, go to law school, or even have other, and then afterwards have other legal careers. I am going to be reaching out to Dr. Franco and others within the HSI team to build, to build this program on the basis of relationships that we already have with the community. I am new to Arizona. I am new to Tucson. So the last thing I want to do is to kind of show up in the community. Here I am, come with me and let's do this. I know that that's not the way things work. It's not what I saw back in New York. So I know that there's an element of reaching out to communities in a respectful and meaningful way that I want to create, and I want them to feel safe, and I want them to feel part of this program. So I will be working on that. My timeline is to have at least one of these events, one of these one-day events at the end of May next year. So I think that would be great because it's the end of our academic year here, as well as the end of the academic year for high schools. If anyone is interested in helping me, I welcome everyone and anyone. I'm also working at the College of Law. We have this fantastic group called Latinas, and I've been already working with them. So anyone that has any other ideas, I welcome them as well. I think that, the more people are interested in doing, the better it is. And it's important to me that the students also see how diverse the legal community can be, so that they see themselves as part of this process in every sort of way possible. So I'm excited that this is going to happen. It's one of the reasons why I accepted this position, because I knew that this was a possibility of working in an institution that values the relationships that we have and we can build with the communities that we serve. That's incredibly important to me. And I hope that this project becomes a major and crucial part of it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Marcelo, for sharing. We can't wait to really support your leadership and your vision for this work. Thank you for bringing your time and your talents and your experiences to the University of Arizona. This will be a tremendous opportunity to expose students locally in our community, not only to the U of A, but with potential careers, in the legal field. And so what a remarkable, extraordinary opportunity to get that early exposure. So thank you so much. So I'd like to invite Anne, and accompanying her is Judy Marquez-Chiama, our Associate Vice Provost for Faculty Development, who partnered with her in this work. But Anne, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Franco. Hi, everybody, and thank you all for being here. And thank you, Dr. Franco, especially for your leadership and for this opportunity. I want to acknowledge that while I'm the presenter here in my capacity as an HSI Fellow, what I'm sharing today comes from my work with Dr. Judy Marquez-Chiama, and I'm so grateful to her. And I also want to thank Dr. Damian Baca, a previous HSI Fellow cohort member who's here today and who first called me into coalition with Dr. Chiama on this topic. The challenge that our project addresses is, given our land grant mission and our mission as an HSI and as an American Indian and Alaska Native Serving Institution, how can we support the future career of scholars who have a connection with Native nations and are underrepresented in their fields? So to address this challenge, we launched the Steps in the Scholar Journey program this year, and that was sponsored by Faculty Affairs, Native American Advancement and Tribal Engagement, Native American Initiatives, and Hispanic Serving Institution Initiatives in partnership with postdoctoral affairs and academic departments across campus. And the program provides culturally responsive professional development and supports culturally meaningful pathways into the professorate for postdoctoral scholars from any disciplinary background who have a connection with Native nations or are underrepresented in their field. And so with guidance from Dr. Franco and from Vice Provost Dr. Andrea Romero, Senior Vice President for Native American Advancement and Tribal Engagement, Levi Esquerra, Assistant Vice Provost for Native American Initiatives, Dr. Karen Francis Begay, and many others, Dr. Kiyama and I worked together to develop promotional materials and a program agenda that enacted our commitments. And I'll briefly talk you through that process and then share some takeaways and impacts. So in the early spring of this year, we advertised the program, which we planned as a 4-day in-person event in June with the possibility of contingency plans. We strategically circulated a flyer and website through networks, and we asked applicants to complete a brief Qualtrics form and upload a CV and brief letter of application stating their interest in and connection to the program mission. And as the applications came in, our own assumptions about what postdoc means were really productively challenged and expanded by the variety of roles that our program applicants and scholars represent. We arrived at our final list of scholars who could commit to the program by the end of April, at which point we started making lodging and travel stipend arrangements. And I want to especially thank Monique Beltran for thinking of just about everything and then some to make this program experience amazing for the scholars. And in the meantime, Dr. Kiyama and I built out the program agenda, working from our analysis of model programs and input from our stakeholders. Dr. Kiyama also gathered a group of elder scholars across U of A who are farther along in their academic journey to serve as mentors for our participating scholars and also lined up presenters for our program. Just before the event, we had circulated a pre-event questionnaire to help us meet the scholars' needs at the event, to carefully match scholars with elder mentors, and to collect photos and bios to circulate among our mentors and scholars in advance of the program and to promote on social media. Unfortunately, some of our scholars and mentors were unable to participate in person because of illness, but in June, we welcomed 9 scholars with 8 scholar mentors from U of A and 9 additional U of A presenters to the Lodge on the Desert Hotel in Tucson for 2 half-days and 2 full days of strategies and support for pursuing culturally meaningful scholarly agendas and preparing for the faculty job market. There were blessings, interactive workshops and presentations, conversations, feedback, mentoring, meals, and a visit to campus. It was a busy schedule, but with planned downtime and space for people to connect and pace themselves. Some of our key takeaways from the event were, first of all, how powerful it was to connect the scholars with elder scholars. The care and the guidance in those conversations were truly incredible. Another takeaway was how important it was to enact culturally affirming professional development by having mentors and presenters who connected with our scholars' experiences, sharing their own successes and stories and their own guidance for the scholars. And finally, how important it was for us as organizers to show up with care at every step. And that means staying in conversation with each other and with our stakeholders and participants to make sure that we're enacting our values before, during, and after the event. And of course, at the event itself, showing up early, staying late, being fully present at the event for our scholars. To measure the impact of this event, we created an anonymous pre- and post-event survey, and we were excited to see compelling gains in our participating scholars' feelings of being prepared to pursue a faculty position, knowing their own strengths, and feeling excited about a career in academia. All of the comments in the survey were positive too, and as one of the scholars put it, and I'm quoting, "This was a great program that provided meaningful relationships and insights as we work toward a faculty position. I'm grateful for attending and getting to learn with and alongside so many amazing and strong leaders. We are never alone in this work." Next slide, please. So as I close, I wanted to share this photo of our scholars, elder mentor scholars, and leadership team at the event. And I wanted to just remind us that reminder from our scholars that we are not alone in this work is an important connection to our mission of servingness as an HSI. In this case, caring for the future not only of these postdoc scholars, but of the colleagues, students, and communities who these scholars already impact and will go on to impact. And that's our North Star as we continue supporting this year's scholars and working to sustain and scale up this program to support even more scholars in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne and Judy, for both the vision and the insight and just kind of the execution and implementation of all of this. As you mentioned, it was done with such care, concern, and intentionality. And we hope that it continues to cultivate the diversity that we want to see amongst our faculty at HSIs, as well as other minority serving institutions across the nation. So thank you for this important work. So I'd like to invite Gabriela to talk a little bit about the Cielo Collaborative Institute.
Thank you very much, Dr. Franco. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, everyone. My project for this HSI Fellowship was to work in collaboration with Dan Sayapan, who is the director of the Cielo programs here. And we work in collaboration throughout different months during the year to create this Cielo Collaborative Institute, which is, we hope that it will be a hub for Hispanic serving institutions as a hub for a culturally and inclusive experiential learning space. This program and this project specifically excites me in so many different levels. At a personal level, as a Latina who had the very privileged opportunity to study abroad during my undergraduate years, it really is very exciting to see spaces for our historically underrepresented students to have those opportunities and to create spaces to have those opportunities in a meaningful way. And then as a professional who has worked in global education for the last 16 years, it's very, very exciting to see such a unique program. So let me tell you a little bit about what Cielo is so you can get an idea of what such a unique program it is. Pretty much Dan has spent the last few years developing, implementing a very, very unique model of experiential learning. And what we realized is that not only this program provides a great opportunity for historically marginalized students, faculty, and staff, but it's also a model that we don't have anywhere else. This is very unique to the University of Arizona, and we're creating a collaborative institute to pretty much share this great model that we have seen. It provides a great opportunity for our students. So you can see here that the Cielo program integrates travel, multicultural education, and service learning opportunities to empower students with knowledge, skills, and value. And I think one of the very key features of the Cielo program is that it's committed to increasing access and participation for traditionally marginalized students, including students of color, first generation, DACA, and low-income status students in international experiential learning programs. And of course, we're all U of A students. Some of the specific characteristics and something that makes Cielo programs very, very unique is that it's a student center, that it actively recruits marginalized students. As we can see here from past participants, about 94% identify as students of color. And just to provide a little bit of context here, according to the Open Doors report, about 70% of students identify as white, of those students who traditionally participate in study abroad programs across the nation. So just seeing the impact and seeing how this program is pretty much creating access for the students and creating a space for them. 72% of them, of the students who have participated, identified as first generation. And something else as well that is very unique about the program is that has a social justice-based curriculum, and it intentionally includes student, faculty, and staff interaction within the program. I had the opportunity, and I was very honored to participate in a couple of these a couple of programs this year with the support of the HSI initiatives. So thank you. And I can say that during the 16 plus years that I work in global education, I never seen such a beautiful program that not only creates a space for students, students who usually don't have the space in other programs, but it's a space to create really, really meaningful interactions and a very beautiful learning space for sure. You can see some of the impacts here. It increased knowledge, competency, and appreciation for culture, history, and people. There's a commitment to environmental and social justice through acts of service learning. So definitely students receive this hands-on experience that is very meaningful, and they have the opportunity to apply what they have learned throughout their school and their classes. So if we can move to the next one, the next slide. We believe, as I mentioned, that the Cielo program is such a unique program, and we believe that it has the potential to innovate experiential learning opportunities at HSIs across the nation. So what we're trying to achieve with the creation of the Cielo Collaborative Institute is pretty much give other HSIs the opportunity to experience the program itself, but also facilitate the creation pretty much of these types of programs in other HSIs, and share the knowledge that Dan has and share the knowledge of everything that we have learned throughout the years. So for the Cielo Collaborative Institute, we will be pretty much opening these Cielo programs to undergraduate and graduate students from other HSI institutions. And then we will also be inviting faculty and staff from other HSIs to participate in more of a professional development institute, let's say, where they will have the opportunity to participate in 2 to 3 pre-departure seminars, where we will cover anything from culturally relevant pedagogies, cultural humility. There's art related to facilitation. So I would say the art of facilitating and debriefing sessions, leadership, how to sell this program to their own institution, and how to gain HSI leadership buy-in. And of course, we will cover information about program design, orientation, assessment, finding Cielo elements within their own communities, because it's very, very important that even though these Cielo programs are at a local, national, and international level, it's very, very important to tie it back to our own communities. And then for a final project, they will have a final project that pretty much describes how they will bring this model back to their institution. They'll have a presentation, and of course, they will have a specific final product. So this product can be either a syllabus, a proposal for the development of a specific program, the design within their own community, and they will be receiving a certificate for this professional development opportunity. We are very excited that we're launching this program in October. We will be launching the program at the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities National Conference in October in San Diego. We will be presenting there about the benefits of this program, but also we will be advertising this to other HSIs who might be interested in offering this to their own students, faculty, and staff. And the first trip for the Cielo Collaborative Institute will be during the summer of 2023 to Puerto Rico. So for anyone who might be interested, and for those of you who are here from other HSI, please reach out either to me or Dan, and we will be more than happy to share more about this project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriela, for presenting on that. I am so excited to see those efforts come to fruition. It has been an ongoing conversation and dream that Dan and I have really talked and rigorously discussed amongst each other. So thank you for bringing your time, talents, and expertise to the table to help get it to this next level. So before we open it up to Q&A and discussion, and I really invite you all to get ready for that portion and would love to hear from you all, I think it's really important that beyond the projects, that we really hear from some of the fellows to provide reflections, deep reflections on their experiences and personal journeys in the program and beyond. And so we have invited, we have both a current HSI Fellow as well as one from a prior cohort who's had certainly time lapse where they've been able to engage more deeply and intently with their work from the HSI Fellow experience. And so we will be hearing briefly a few minutes from Dr. Sarah Kite, who serves as Senior Research Scientist with Student Success and Retention Innovation. And then just to kind of queue up, we will also hear up from Aaron Paradise, who's a lecturer in business communications from Eller College of Management and part of our current cohort. So I will invite Sarah to join us and share a little bit more.
Good morning, everybody. I am really honored to get to talk to you all. I have to say I'm kind of humbled after hearing all the amazing work that everyone's doing, but I can't think of a better way to start my day. So I am, like Marla said, the Senior Research Scientist in Student Success and Retention Innovation. And what that means is I work on institutional research and strategy and some scholarship that's all about how we can support students at our university. So being asked to speak this morning was a really nice opportunity to take that step back and reflect and try and connect some of the fibers between my HSI Fellows experience as part of the 2019-2020 cohort and my work to date that advances diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I'm going to go deep on one particular project where I can just see so many of the fingerprints of my experience as a fellow. So here we go. So Lisa Alfring, who oversees the University Center for Assessment, Teaching, and Technology, and I have been collaborating on a project that we got funded through the Provost Investment Fund that we call the HSI Fellows. And HSI is an acronym. It stands for Analytics Certificate in Course Equity and Student Success. And essentially, we created a fellows program for career and tenure track faculty who are interested in using a little bit of institutional data, but a lot of teaching and learning strategies to redesign their courses and make them more equitable and inclusive. So here are a few ways that this was made possible by the HSI Fellows program. So first, being a fellow enriched my understanding of our institutional identity and values and the fluency with which I can convey those and use those to foster collaboration with others, which I'm sure was very helpful in getting a Provost Investment Fund proposal funded. I also had direct firsthand experience with a high quality fellows model. So I was able to draw on that model and how it blended professional development, institutional strategy, community building, all the good stuff that us fellows have benefited from, and thinking about how we could impart some of that in our new program. And so, I was mindful of that model and also others like it, like the Culturally Responsive Curriculum Development Institute, that I'm hoping in some ways can kind of be like the big siblings to our program. It also enhanced my network of co-collaborators and co-conspirators, several of whom generously shared their time and their knowledge. I see you all, thank you, to help us develop our ideas and then also to come visit our fellows. So we had two panels that had many representatives from past cohorts involved. One was specifically about servingness in the faculty role in the classroom, and the other was about cultural humility and how to adopt that mindset and why to adopt that mindset in the classroom. So I'm also really excited to meet everyone in the new cohorts. If you'd ever like to reach out about anything, please. Lastly, let's talk about money. So I used some of my professional development funds that I had remaining after my time as a fellow I had those function as department matching and applying for the Provost Investment Fund, which helps your application. And so we funded myself and two other staff members from different departments to complete a Cal State certificate program in student success analytics. Because part of our own work entailed doing something sort of similar, and it helped us get the conversation going. It also really helps build buy-in from other directors when you can approach them and say, hey, I want to do this initiative that will take some time from someone on your staff, but I have funds where I can fund this high quality professional development opportunity for them. It makes them really eager to partner and even to pull in some of their own discretionary funding. UAir actually ended up funding a few other staff members to participate in the program because I put that opportunity on their radar. Okay, so these efforts have had a few impacts that I will unpack for you now. briefly. So in terms of faculty, we had 8 wonderful faculty participate with us, and they praised the process. They said really wonderful things. They're going to be teaching 1,300 students this fall, and we'll have our work cut out for us doing, some follow-up with them about their own experience, and then also gathering some data about how it's all worked out. But they are fired up to make changes in their classrooms and also in their departments and beyond. Institutionally, we've done this work of connecting servingness to student success and faculty in the classrooms in a new way for our campus and building some data infrastructure. So now we're thinking about how to scale that by continuing conversations. But one of the hopes is that we will have in place a way of looking at equity in student academic outcomes for the first time, which is one of Garcia's many, many indicators of servingness. And that can be part of the dialogue on our campus. And then to end, personally, working on this project in particular has really challenged me to go outside of my comfort zone by pulling all these pieces together, having all these conversations with different collaborators. But it's also been really energizing and exciting and a nice antidote to pandemic burnout. So I'm grateful to have had all of these past experiences. I'm really grateful to Dr. Franco and the HSI Initiatives Office as champions for this work, and for even just this opportunity to reflect on all of this with you this morning has been really nice. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kite, for that reflection and for sharing, more about the ways that you really kind of manifested and brought forward your experiences to really inform a strategy where you could create environments for learning and practice so that other faculty could engage in more inclusive and equitable teaching and learning practices. So I'm very excited to continue following your work and so grateful for your stewardship of this work in an area like student success and retention innovation. So thank you again. Oh, there you go, Erin. So there you are. I'd like to next invite Erin Paradise to just share a short reflection about her current experiences as an HSI Fellow within Cohort 4. So Erin, I'll turn it over to
All right, thank you, Dr. Franco. I want to just express my gratitude to you, Dr. Franco, and to our university's senior leaders, and to all of the fellows. This has been, I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. This is my 17th year working as an educator, and this program was the most powerful, profound, and transformative that I've ever had in terms of professional development. I came to the university in fall of 2019, and soon thereafter, the pandemic hit. And I'll be honest, I felt very disconnected. And I was wondering if I belonged. I wasn't sure, and I'm a Wildcat alum, I love the U of A, but I wasn't sure where my place was. And through this program, I was just so inspired by my fellows. That first night that we had dinner at Dr. Franco's house, everybody shared their experiences and their connection to the university and their sense of belonging, or in some cases, their lack thereof. And it created this space where we could truly be our authentic selves with one another. And that was the starting point. So from there, every session that we met, we learned so much about capacity building, about what it means to intentionally serve Latinx students. We learned from experts in the field, and our knowledge, as our knowledge grew, so did our confidence in being able to lead efforts and initiatives that are going to directly impact students. I was so grateful too that I was paired with Dr. Fisher, Dr. Cruz Silva, and Ms. Menninger for the Seal of Excellencia project. I don't think we ever would have met each other had it not been for this program. And that really was incredible for me. I learned so much from my colleagues. I learned so much about the university. And in that process, I was so proud to be a part of this community. I feel like I found family now here. And I think through this process, we learned so much about efforts that the U of A is making as a leading HSI. And I'll quote one of our fellows. I think it might've been Dr. Fisher in our last session together, who said, though, once you see inequity, you can't unsee it. And I would also add to that, but once you see opportunities, you can't unsee that either. And so I think what this has done is, for all of us, has enabled our ability to carry this work forward, because this work will never stop. So for me personally, what that looks like, Dr. Kiyama inspired me to apply for the Culturally Responsive Curriculum Development Institute. And so I am embedding more culturally responsive practices into my classrooms where students can share their backgrounds, build on their funds of knowledge, and really bring themselves into the space. In addition to that, I'm also partnering with some of our directors at the Eller College of Management to use resources to support HSI related activities through our student clubs. And I'm also hoping to partner with our DEI coordinator to bring in some professional development opportunities for our faculty. And then beyond that, because once you're a fellow, you're always a fellow, Dr. Fisher, Dr. Cruz Silva, and Ms. Menninger and I, we are applying for a research opportunity. We're hoping to do a study on students' perceptions of the U of A as an HSI and gauge their sense of belongingness to the university to further inform future initiatives. And we're also applying for the AZ HSI Summit to share more about our experiences in reapplying for the Seal of Excellencia. So I just want to finish again with some gratitude. Dr. Franco, Dr. Kiyama, the University of Leadership, and all of the fellows, past cohorts and present and future. This is very important work, and it is so powerful. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the years to come as we find new ways and innovative ways to intentionally serve our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin, for your meaningful and thoughtful reflection. You know, not in my most wildest dreams did I ever imagine that things would get this brave, this intentional, you know, this focused and this depthful across the institution and within our local community. I continue to be in awe of what's happening right before our eyes. And I'm just so grateful to all of the HSI Fellows, current cohort and past cohorts, and super excited as well to be welcoming on our next cohort. So very briefly, as we get ready for questions and answers and discussion, please get those ready. But one of the things that I would absolutely love to do is just briefly acknowledge the incoming cohort. We are thrilled to have another phenomenal set of individuals and some of whom are joining us actually on today's session. So you will see the broad cross-section once again of diversity in terms of background and representation, organizational location, expertise, areas of expertise, and academic fields, departments, and disciplines. So I have no doubt that this fifth cohort will also do phenomenal, wonderful things. So now I would just like to open it up for a little bit of conversation. I know that the chat has kind of been blowing up. As I'm steering the ship from here, I can't usually keep track of that. So if anyone is interested in repeating and verbalizing one of their questions or their comments, we'd love for you to just chime in. Please unmute yourself.
I wanted to chime in and speak about the Cielo Collaborative Institute. I myself am currently a student at MSU Denver, and I do agree that a lot of us don't get the opportunity to study abroad, and I'm getting the opportunity to go this fall. So it's awesome that you guys are doing that initiative, and I'm looking forward to bringing it to my campus as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. I had the great opportunity to join MSU Denver as well as other universities within the Colorado to really join in on some conversations that they were having about their HSI related efforts. So it's great to have you join us today. Other comments, questions, thoughts? Alexi?
Yes, I had made a comment about the Seal of Excellencia. So it was really nice to see the amount of work that the University of Arizona is actually doing. And just to know that there are connections that can be made socially. I mean, when you said Outreach Familia, I was like, oh, that's Dr. Cindy Trejo. Like these names start clicking, and then how interconnected we are as a community, as the greater Tucson, and then now as a state, and then moving beyond that because of you, Dr. Franco, is amazing. So we're doing great work, and just to ask questions and be able to support each other.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're super excited to have you be part of the 5th cohort. Other thoughts, questions?
I just wanted to say I'm also at MSU Denver, and so really just wanted to thank you all for sharing these awesome stories and experiences with the Fellows program. And so thank you all as an institution that really looks for promising practices everywhere. This really helps us envision some of the projects that we could potentially be doing here on our campus. And so thank you, Doctora Franco, for allowing us to participate with you all today. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. We try and make much of what we do open and accessible to folks outside of the University of Arizona as well. You know, my community of practice is both local and national. And so the opportunities that we have to bring others into the fold, you know, only helps to be of mutual benefit and service to our HSIs across the nation. So thank you so much for joining us. Judy?
Thanks, Marla, and congratulations to everybody for these, oh my gosh, just incredible projects and initiatives and dedication and hard work. It was just such an honor to work alongside you in this last year. I'm wondering if any of you as fellows, past or present, can speak to maybe those who are in the audience who might be considering applying in the future, and wondering if they can take this on in addition to the other work that they're doing, you know, how they might talk to their team or their supervisors about why this is connected to their work. You know, just a little nudge or encouragement for those who are sitting here who might be wanting to apply but not sure if they should or could. And that's open to any of you who want to jump in.
I can get started because I feel like, you know, when I started here back in March 2021, and I didn't know anyone. I literally just knew the people I was working with inside the law library. I didn't even know that many people within the College of Law. And I reached out to Annabelle, which I think she's here because she was a previous fellow. And also someone that actually I have not met in person. Annabelle, we need to go out for coffee at some point. She was so kind and so helpful and just willing to talk to me about her process in terms of coming up with a proposal, a project, what that actually meant. I was a little scared about that, how clear, how much I needed to know about the project that I wanted to do, right? And whether or not what that was connected to servingness in terms of a philosophy, a pedagogical philosophy. So all this to say, reach out to any of us. I think that you know, we're very nice people and we're willing to share this amazing sort of opportunity experience that we just went through. But I have to say, I think that's also a reflective of other previous cohorts. I think everyone is really willing to share this amazing opportunity with all of you. So if you don't have sort of if you haven't identified your allies within your college, within your office, your faculty, reach out to us. We're happy to sort of help you how you can come up with your elevator pitch and how you can come up with your narrative so you can convince other people. I think that we have that knowledge, and you know, I'm actually going to put myself out there. I'm happy to help you do that. It's possible, and you will not regret it. I promise you.
Yes, thank you so much, Marcelo. Appreciate it. Hello, Dr. Elizabeth Gonzalez. I see you have a question.
Hello, good morning, and thank you, Dr. Franco, for the invitation to join. Elizabeth Gonzalez here at UCLA's Office of the Chancellor. We are an emerging HSI, and we are definitely looking at the University of Arizona as a model. So thank you for allowing us to see the creative projects and the capacity building across the campus. My question is similar to the question that was just posed, right? How to incentivize folks. Somebody mentioned PD funds. So I guess this question goes to Diane, maybe. Was there particular funds allocated to support to incentivize and maybe implement some of these projects along the way? I wanted to hear more on that, the back end.
Yeah, so yeah, Diane was at the table along with a few others when we were originally conceiving the HSI Fellows program. And one of the things that was incredibly important that we wanted to center in how we utilize some of the financial resources to support the program, right? I think we've all heard the narrative of, all too often the types of folks who are shouldering, right, unpaid labor within our institutions to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion work, right? And we wanted to make sure that we provided a very focused counter strategy that was intentional in making this a much more equitable and inclusive opportunity for faculty and staff to truly engage, hopefully without, burdening them in a way, and really actually placing value, financial value, and conceptual value on their work. And so we did that in a couple of different ways. One is in the application process, we actually asked for a letter of support from their direct supervisor, because we want to make sure that we're communicating to the supervisor the real value and contribution of this work, not just to HSI initiatives, but to the University of Arizona as a whole. So they have to be on board and express a level of commitment towards time and support of the individual. Then what we also do is that for faculty who have a course load, we do offer a one course buyout. And they can choose kind of PD funds or the one course buyout, whichever kind of benefits them most in balancing out their workload. We wanted to make sure that we provided an intentional signal and commitment to say, this is real university work, and therefore, it will be deemed accordingly and have a value placed on that through funding sources. And so faculty who have a teaching load can certainly opt to utilize that. We also wanted to make sure this was actually, and Diane can maybe attest to this, but it kind of racked our brain when we were first launching this, because there had been no precedents prior at the institution where anything somewhat comparable had been offered to staff to compensate them. And so how do we present an opportunity to equitably offer something of comparable value to staff? And so we worked on that piece as well. And so we hold and retain a pot of funds to support the continued advancement for the fellow in their HSI related professional development, any HSI related research endeavors or community engagement that they would like to spearhead. So for example, in Marcelo's case, like he's going to put on a program. So that is absolutely a viable way. A group might be doing research and they might want to utilize resources to pay for transcription services and other types of resources. Some might be presenting at a HAKU conference, so it's going to pay for their registration and travel arrangements. And so those are the funds that help exponentially then further the work. And I would say it's even more fun to see how that gets utilized, because it's their imprint of the vision of the work and how they want to provide leadership and stewardship to advancing the efforts. So that's a little bit about kind of the financial landscape. Okay. Well, we want to thank you all so much for being a part of this year's HSI Fellows Program Impact Presentations. This is only just an insight into what the program really does for both the fellows to advance HSI initiatives and to really advance and center and ground our institutional values and commitment to this work. I am so pleased, to support the continued work of all of our fellows, and so incredibly excited to be hosting the 5th cohort of fellows around my dinner table in just a few weeks. I thank you all for your continued support and following of this program. We actually will be following up to all registrants for today's session with an email that it will include a link to the video recording of this session, as well as to the project abstracts for each of the fellows projects. And so that will be on its way shortly. But thank you all so much. We appreciate your continued support and engagement, and we'll see you all next year. Thank you. Goodbye.